Today we're going to be crocheting this very simple and quick pattern for a crochet headband. And for this project, I'm going to be working with some size 4 medium weight cotton yarn, and this is just the Lily Sugar and Cream brand. I'm also going to be using a size H or 8 or 5 millimeter crochet hook. And if you don't have a crochet hook of this exact size, that's fine. Just get as close as you can. And we're going to begin with a slip knot. So you're just going to create a loop and pinch that intersection, and then draw your working yarn up through the loop and pull both of your ends nice and tight to create your slip knot. And from here, we're going to chain 3. And once you have your 3 chains in place, then you're going to turn them over so that you can access the 3 back bumps back here. And we're going to dive right into that very first back bump, and we're going to place a slip stitch. Then we're going to place 1 slip stitch in each of our back bumps going down our row. So at the end of the row, we should have a total of 3 slip stitches. And from here, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And so from here, we're just going to skip our chain stitch, and we're going to dive right into the back loop only of our first slip stitch. We're going to place a slip stitch there. And then we're just going to place 1 slip stitch in the back loop only of our remaining 2 stitches. And from here, we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work again. And then we're just going to repeat that last row over and over and over again for a total of 32 rows. And I went ahead and repeated that row until I had 32 rows or 16 of these ridges. Next, we're going to chain 2 at the end of our last row, and then we're going to turn our work. And for this row, we're going to skip our 2 turning chains, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in these next 3 stitches. And we are working in the full stitch. And from here, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. And we're going to skip those 2 chains as turning chains and diving right into our first double crochet. We're going to place 2 double crochets. And again, we will be working in the full stitch from now on. And in this center stitch, we're going to place 1 double crochet. And then in our very last stitch of this row, we're going to place 2 double crochets. So we should have a total of 5 double crochets when we're done. And then we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. And for this row, we're going to place 2 double crochets in our first stitch, as well as our last stitch, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in the stitches in between. So when we get to the end of our row, we should have a total of 7 double crochets. And again, at the end of our row, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. So from here, we're just going to repeat that last row. So we're going to place 2 double crochets in our first and last stitch, and then we're going to place 1 double crochet in the stitches in between. So we should have a total of 9 double crochets when we're done. And at the end of the row, you're just going to chain 2 and turn your work. So if this is about as wide as you want your headband, then all you're going to do is just place 1 double crochet in each stitch in your row. But if you want to make this a little bit wider, then you can go ahead and place 2 double crochets in your first and last stitch, just like we've been doing. So that's what I'm going to do. And if you're going to do that, then you should have a total of 11 double crochets when you're done. And of course, you can continue to increase this to whatever size you want. So at the end of this row, I'm going to chain 2 and turn my work, and I'm just going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch in my row. So when I get done, I should have a total of 11 double crochets. And at the end of your row, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And from here, we're just going to repeat that last row over and over to build the body of our headband. And I repeated that last row until I had a total of 8 rows of placing 1 double crochet in each stitch in my row. And of course, you can increase or decrease the number of rows to fit whatever head size you need. So once you've gotten this to your desired length, then again, we are going to chain 2 and turn our work. And so from here, we're just going to decrease by 2 in each row until we get back down to 3 double crochets. So to do that, we are just going to skip our very first double crochet, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in the following stitch. And we're going to continue to place 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row until we get to the last 2 stitches. And once you have 2 stitches remaining in your row, then all you're going to do is skip that second to the last stitch and place 1 double crochet in your very last stitch. So now you should have 9 double crochets. From here, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. And we're just going to repeat that process. So we're going to skip this very first stitch as well as the second to the last stitch. And otherwise, we're just going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row. And we're just going to repeat this pattern until we get down to 3 double crochets. And once you've gotten back down to 3 double crochets, then you're just going to chain 1 and turn your work. And from here, we're simply just going to line up these 2 short edges like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert our crochet hook up underneath the full stitch on our first little row there, and then up underneath the last stitch that we created in our last row. So sort of these corresponding stitches. And we're just going to yarn over and drop all the loops on our crochet hook for a slip stitch. And we're going to repeat this process in our next 2 stitches. And from here, we're going to cut and tie off our yarn. And I am going to hide these 2 tails on this side of my headband because the final project will be turned inside out like this, and we don't want those tails to be visible. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Lipstick on a Rig. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.